Hello y'all, this is Tania Moon of TaniaMoonInc.com. I am a licensed mental health therapist as well as a certified health coach. I'm here to give information for people who are looking for help for their mental health issues, either for themselves or for a loved one or friend. Before we move any further, I do want to make sure it's very clear that this information is not, I repeat, not to be used as a replacement for mental health treatment. It is not to be used as a replacement for individualized in-person mental health treatment, okay? It's just supposed to be used for a resource or a source of support, okay? A lot of times people, they don't recognize that, or they don't realize that they actually are on a platform every single day that could be used as a source of emotional support. And that platform is social media. There's so many different pages, individuals, and groups that, surround the topic of mental illness that really people can go to for support. A lot of times I use Instagram as any type of support that I need, whether it be mental health or fitness. And I believe Instagram is probably one of the easier ones to use for searching for different people who have similar interests as you. So with that being said, I wanted to give, a couple of examples of mental health pages that I believe have a creative flair. The reason why I picked these pages is because, one, they are very colorful and creative, and a lot of times people are drawn to that. And then what I've noticed that a lot of times these pages use, the pattern between these pages is that they'll use that creative flair to draw people in, and then they come around with their true message of mental health advocacy, okay? So a couple of these or a few of these pages are, and I'll list them on the screen, the Antidote. Sylvia Does Drawings. Just Peachy Comic. How Am I Feeling? But I picked these, like I said, because they're very creative. Now, mental health, that is essentially just saying the state of a person's mental/emotional well-being. It doesn't indicate whether it's good or bad. It's just how they are mentally or emotionally. Now, mental illness, that generally means that a person has had a negative impact on their mind or their personality, and it can range from mood disorders on up to personality disorders. For people who really want help but they don't really know how to go about it, I've had some people ask me how to go about getting help, but they are kind of ashamed. I tell them a good place to start is their doctor's office. Well, most people go to the doctor at least one time a year. And generally speaking, at the end of the day, a doctor could really give you good direction. Even if they can't fully help you, they can give you good direction on where to start at minimum, okay? So I'll give an example of my experience working in a doctor's office and how we facilitate and help people who are interested in getting mental health treatment. So on a typical day, I might have a provider approach me and ask me to help them to determine what type or level of mental illness a person might be exhibiting. I'm an integrated behavioral health consultant, meaning that I'm a therapist who is embedded in a doctor's office. The medical provider will essentially tell me, I guess, what the patient has told them is going on with them stress-wise. And then I have a certain set of assessments that I have to complete, and that will help me to begin to determine what level of severity the person's mental illnesses are at the time, as well as what approach to take as far as referring. Now, some people, have general stress. They might have some mild mood issues, and then generally speaking, then they can stay with me as far as, you know, a few sessions here and there. But then a lot of people that I see coming through, because we are dealing with a general disadvantaged population who has a lot of their basic needs not met. A lot of the population is dealing with severe mental health or mental health issues that require ongoing long-term help. So at that point, I would help the provider to facilitate a referral out to a long-term therapist and a long-term psychiatric provider. So I know that was a mouthful, and I don't want to intimidate anybody by saying that. I just wanted to give insight on what I do as a consultant. But I say all this to say that it's becoming more and more common for people to use the doctor's office as a catalyst, a starting point to begin their mental health treatment journey. Don't be afraid to tell your doctor. At the end of the day, you have a relationship with a patient-doctor relationship with your provider, and they are there. Generally speaking, I would think that they're there for the betterment of your whole being, not just for your physical self. So just don't be afraid to talk to your doctor if you feel like you're having emotional issues, because at the end of the day, emotional issues could affect, and sometimes they most likely do affect your physical health in some way, even if it's something just like ongoing sleep issues or insomnia. Sometimes stress can really keep you up at night, ongoing sleep issues, headaches, stomach issues. There are a lot of times that people really neglect their emotional issues, and it manifests into their physical. So I would say be aware of that, and really let the people who are managing your treatment, your physical health treatment, know about that so they can do the best they can to help you, okay? Now, for the people who are not interested or are kind of ashamed or uncomfortable with going to the doctor about, you know, any level of mental health issues or emotional issues, you don't have to, and there's no judgment. However, you also can use websites. I'll list some websites: mentalhealth.gov. There's also SAMHSA.gov, I believe, and I'll list some additional websites that you can use. A lot of the websites that you can use are also on my website, or you can also go through your insurance company and see what mental health providers might be in your network. So you don't necessarily have to put yourself out to your doctor if you're not comfortable with doing that, okay? So in terms of how mental illness is treated, generally speaking, mental illness is treated in a one-on-one context, individual treatment context, meaning it's the mental health provider and it's the person. However, you also have family therapy, you have group therapy, and then as far as not just treatment but just support, you can have in-person support groups as well as online support groups. Sometimes people are more comfortable with kind of like transitioning from like a online support group to like an in-person support group to like to actual individual one-on-one therapy, because they just want to get a feel for what the mental health treatment process is like. Because it can be very intimidating going from not seeing anybody ever to just sitting in somebody's office being asked I don't know how many questions about their life and what's going on with them currently. So I would encourage you that if you are interested in getting help but you're intimidated on the one-on-one treatment protocol, you can actually maybe do a Google search of local support groups for depression or anxiety to see what's out there. And then also there's an online support network that I can list called supportgroups.com. And essentially this is like a message board type situation where you can go online and there's so many different subtopics. You can click on the subtopic. You have so many people who are talking about what they're going through. You don't even necessarily have to put your business out there. You can just see how other people are dealing with what they're going through and get support that way. So I would encourage you to just utilize that if you're not necessarily ready to get individualized help at this time. Now, the caveat to that is if you are dealing with severe mental health issues and you know you need help, don't sit on it. Tell somebody, call a local support network or hotline to get at least some level of individual one-on-one support. Don't just sit on it and keep it to yourself, okay? For people who are not personally dealing with mental health issues, but they might know a loved one who is dealing with mental health issues, sometimes they want to know how they can go about approaching them or how they should go about talking to them about it. So this can be sticky as far as my response, because it really has a lot of there are really a lot of factors in how you approach, because it could range from the different factors that determine how you approach. Could be the person's personality, how you see that they're acting, the type of relationship you have with the person. So I would take all of that into consideration before just approaching them, because that could really have a big impact on their response to you. The main thing, though, if I had to give or start off giving any advice, is to really show unconditional support. Like, even if you have like a type of joking around relationship with the person in general outside of this is really not the time to kind of go into this situation with that attitude, because one, that might turn the person off. They might think, oh, well, they don't take it seriously. What's the point of me talking to them about it? I might as well just shut down and not say anything. And that's not good. That's really defeats the purpose of you engaging with them at all. The second thing I would probably say is just to make sure it's very clear that they know that you are not judging them because of what they're going through, and that their value is the same regardless if they're dealing with the mental health issues or not. So I would encourage you to make sure that the person knows that they are not being judged through this interaction. The main thing I would say is just to make sure they know that you're there for them no matter what, and that you will support them and not judge them no matter what. I want to, preface this by saying that it's important to, if you kind of think that somebody might be dealing with mental health issues, especially if they're having significant issues like ongoing isolation, just acting like apathetic, like they don't care, ongoing irritability, just to check in on them, check in on your strong friends. So many people are so used to being the go-to person for everybody else that even if they wanted to tell anybody, they don't feel like they have anybody to talk to. So if you have a person that is the go-to person for everybody else, please check in on them, because you never know what they might be going through. A lot of people who have taken their own lives are people, and I'm just gonna be real, who we probably didn't even think that they were even in that headspace, especially with the recent news of the suicide of the designer Kate Spade. Like, that was just blindside for a lot of people. You never know. Money or anything can't really determine whether or not a person is going to be depressed or not going to be depressed. It's really about being there for that person, understanding them, making sure they have your support no matter what. In mentioning the Kate Spade situation, I wanted to make sure that anyone who is watching this who might be considering, even thinking about it, I want you to know that, one, you are important. Your life matters, okay? And at the end of the day, your life will be missed and somebody will be affected by your absence. I don't want you to think this is it. This is not it for you. So I want to give you a hotline. It's a national suicide prevention hotline. That number is 1-800-273-8255. I'm going to put it on the screen. Please do not hesitate to use this. This is a 24/7 hotline. It's toll free. Do not hesitate to use this if you are having those type of thoughts, okay? I'm speaking from a place of personal experience, a person who has dealt with mental health issues. You can live a healthy, positive, quality life despite mental health issues. Mental health issues do not define who you are as a person. They don't define your direction in life. They are just a condition, like somebody having high blood pressure is a condition, or a heart condition. It is a condition that if you get the proper clinical treatment, if you implement and do the work outside of the treatment through positive coping skills, and if you have quality people around you, you can live a healthy life. So don't think that just because you got a diagnosis of a mental health disorder that it's it for you, or that you're different, or it's over. It's not. It's just about really your input in this situation, whether or not you're going to take it seriously and do what you have to do and do the work and meet people who are trying to help you halfway through these different avenues, therapy, medication if needed, quality support through people that care and love you and care about you, and actually you doing the work between sessions. That is what's going to determine the level of success that you have in managing your mental health issues. Okay. My call to action for people who have watched this video all the way through, I really do appreciate you guys for doing that, is to, if you need help or somebody who needs help, do not hesitate to ask for help. Just don't hesitate. Don't sit on it, because you're doing yourself a disservice. And that's why I created this resource, because a lot of times people are nervous to talk to somebody. Even if it's not in person, they're nervous to talk to somebody over the phone. They're embarrassed. And this is an online support that you can go on by yourself and actually see, and get help and get emotional support. And then again, I just want to make sure that even in that that this is just a catalyst for your emotional support journey. This isn't the end all be all. I just want you to use this as a resource. So I'm speaking as a person who treats people who have mental health issues, as well as a person who has dealt with mental health issues herself, that having this particular condition or conditions is not the end all be all. You are still a quality person. You still have value. Okay? Don't let that define your life. And at the end of the day, working towards peace of mind, in my opinion, is one of the most important things that you can do with your life. And you can still work towards that even through mental health issues. Okay? So this information, there's so much more on my website, www.taniamooninc.com. And until next time, get you some peace of mind, and I'll talk to you all later.